So historically, I think Southeast Asia has been a region that's pretty favorable to U.S. influence and participation, both diplomatically, militarily, and economically. I think from a trade perspective, certainly there's the perception that as the world's largest market, historically it could confer a great deal of benefits in terms of the U.S. consumer market, but also militarily. I think most countries have perceived the U.S. to be a sort of strategic counterbalance or counterweight to China. Tactically, in terms of balancing U.S. and China relations for Southeast Asian countries, I think historically the first way that they've done it is through things like joint military exercises. So joint military exercises, of course, send a very clear message, about who your allies are and what they're capable of. So whether it's been the Philippines who have bought military hardware over the years and have a defense treaty with the U.S., or Thailand and who used to run an exercise called Cobra Gold, which was an anti-drug exercise for years. First and foremost, military might speaks for itself. On the other side of the equation, I would say, is sort of trade and commerce. And in this sense, it's a little bit less clear-cut as to how they would actually balance relations, because rather than being zero-sum, I think there is a perception that can be a positive-sum relationship. So, by playing relations off one another in Beijing and Washington, there's a belief that you can sort of encourage more investment from both of these countries and their private sectors. While there are security concerns, there's equal recognition that they are an important partner in the development process in growth ultimately for all of these countries. And perhaps it's that vulnerability ultimately that makes Southeast Asian governments and populations so concerned. And again, taking the example of a place like Vietnam, Chinese companies are involved at some level or another, whether it's consulting or construction, in more than 90% of new electric power projects in that country. So, just taking that one sector alone, consider the fact that, if they do come to blows in the South China Sea, China can quite literally unplug Vietnam's economy over the next few years. And of course, without electric power, you're facing all sorts of delays in industrialization, and ultimately, that would sort of drag on prosperity. So.